This week's local marketing update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter at ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/ScottPGallagher.
On the camera and restart my introduction, but Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, bringing you our weekly local marketing industry update. Next week's LMS member call is going to be Wednesday, September 11th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Well, a couple little just housekeeping items. If you're watching the camera or the recorded video, you can see that I'm sitting in a hotel room and not in my office right now. So it's, any environment changes that you have tends to throw things off a little bit, but nonetheless, we've got a good call for you. As well, I haven't been feeling well today, so if my energy is a little down, I got to apologize, but we're doing some thinking about it. And, last week I had something going on with my eye, and it was very difficult to see in the lights and whatnot, and I just haven't felt good probably the last 6 months. A lot of you, that follow in on these calls and listen in on with me know that there's been some changes in my life this year. I've lost some very important people in my life, and I'm at the mid-age of my life right now, and it's really over the last several months, it's really impacted me quite a bit, I think. I'm starting to recognize how it's affecting eating and health and whatnot, and it's starting to get results of how I feel. Well, I share these things with you because it's been a tough week as well. Last week I lost a friend that was 35 years old, and that's an amazing thing to go through. You really, this was that annoying friend. We all have, I'll have him, and you never think about what it's going to be like when somebody's not here. And so for me, relationships have been the theme of 2013. It's been tough, but at the same time that I think about that in the business world, relationships are equally as important, whether we're dealing with the online world or the offline world. I remember back in my business-to-business sales days, my sales manager said, buyers, they don't buy a product or a service, they buy a state. And a state is an anticipated feeling that they're going to get from that product or service. Well, when there's a variety of different products or services to choose from, the feeling that they get with the relation of that company, typically that's the salesperson, is included in that feeling from that state that they're going to spend money on. Businesses buy and make purchases to solve problems. And so the relationship has got a significant impact into the persuasion. And in other words, a good salesperson is going to continually do well. There's certain things in sales that are very, very important that we teach with the local, with the SEO sales trail that we've got out there. And I utilize a consultative sales or a solution selling approach, and I've applied it to the internet marketing world. It's it really, I really am thinking a lot about relationships and how relationships work in the small business world in the online environment. You've heard me talk a lot about reviews and review acquisition systems for local businesses and how to manage review acquisitions and not solicit reviews, but really have a good business model behind the company to get these reviews. And at the end of the day, reviews, again, are just about relationships. And managing those relationships, and that's kind of the theme of today's call. When we talk about some of the business tips that I'm going to get into later on, just really have got to look at and identify how small businesses can create a new type of relationship online to be different. You've got an opportunity. We can go and create, we've talked about the 5 different videos, but how are you going to make yourself different? How are you going to utilize your voice through different social media channels to be a little bit different? Maybe a chiropractor once a week would like to start a channel and start to communicate on just some of their experiences over the week of some patients and how patients have affected people's lives. Well, that's going to build relationships, and that's going to build your community. And whether your community is on YouTube or on the social sides of things, or email, or a variety of different areas, it's very important. So I'm sorry, I digress quite a bit. I just had quite a few different thoughts. But this week we're going to talk about Yelp, and how Yelp is actually ironic with sales teams and relationships, and how Yelp is having a lot of problems right now because of their sales team and ultimately the relationships they have with their staff. Big purchase with Microsoft this week, and what the implications of that are going to be in the local community, local internet marketing community. PageRank, have you heard about this for a while? If you've been in the SEO community for some time, you know what PageRank is. Is it still around? Is it important? Does it even exist? What does Google think about this? Now, for local business tips this week, we're going to talk about customer review management services for a local business. 8 different questions that local businesses should ask regarding a review management, customer review management service. And for a local internet marketing agency, we're going to talk about overcoming the objections to increasing your revenue as an agency when you upsell your customers on a customer review management system. This is beyond the review acquisition system that you should definitely implement regardless. All right, so I'm going to get into the weekly local business tip. 8 questions that a local business should ask a customer review management service before hiring them. So this is going to be a company, whether it be your agency. These are going to be questions that your customers are going to want to ask. I would supply these questions to your customers, get them to look at different vendors. And ultimately, we're talking about a service that's an upsell. So if you're getting $1,000 or $2,000 a month for, or $1,500, let's say, for SEO services, you should probably implement a review acquisition system, or that should automatically be implemented for you. This is going to take it one step further and manage reviews, recognize negative reviews, create content, and further encourage reviews. So the questions that a business wants to be asking is, number one, whether or not the content is going to be syndicated, and where and how much. If a review is going to be created, is it going to go on multiple sites? Does it get multiple recognitions for multiple reviews? How is that done? Number 2, notification and recognition of negative reviews. Where are they looking for negative reviews? How are you collecting these negative reviews? How are you getting them out to the customers? Guys, local internet marketing agencies recognize that these are objections. These are what you should be doing for your customers. How many different ways do you offer to help capture reviews? And what type of tools do you use to capture reviews in different ways? Contracts. I'm not a big fan of contracts. Is your service good enough to go month to month with no contract? Even local SEO shouldn't have written contracts, in my opinion. What happens if they cancel service? Are reviews removed? Yes or no? Who owns the reviews? Where do the reviews reside? We're talking about content here. Are you one of the bad actors? I mean, are you going out and leaving reviews? Are these unsolicited reviews? Where are the reviews coming from? Can you automate the review acquisition process? What is automation? Partial automation, human interaction. And number 8, are you going to go out and help me get reviews from all the places that matter? In Local Marketing Source, we talk about different profiles, major citations, and secondary citations. Well, every local business should complete all the profiles in that list and all the major citations. All right, moving on to our weekly update. Yelp, they've got their sales team. They've got a very, very hard sell. They've acquired and built their business very, very fast. Over the last 2-3 years, they've been in the media for different reasons. A lot of local businesses have not understood with what they've purchased. They actually got sued by an attorney firm fairly recently for misleading what they were buying. Unscrupulous salespeople. They're paid higher commissions on upsells of different enhancements of services. They've maybe not lied about numbers, but they've definitely skewed numbers, swayed them in different ways for local businesses. Made them think that they're going to get a lot more out of what they're really not getting anything out of. Well, this has really started to hit their business. Their top line and their bottom lines are being hit. They're losing customers. They're getting a lot of press out of it. It's not a good thing. Yelp is actually a pretty good enterprise. They've got some very, very good reviews. They're the most trusted reviews on the internet. You should trust their reviews from consumers than any other site that's out there. Microsoft goes ahead and they buy Nokia. This is kind of a pretty big purchase because up until last year, Nokia was the biggest cell phone manufacturer on the planet until Samsung took it over, I believe, in June. It's got to be since the early 90s that Nokia has been the biggest manufacturer. They represent, I don't know, 5% of the gross domestic product in Finland, whatever the number is. It's a pretty significant amount for one company to influence an entire country. Finlanders are very proud of Nokia, so it's very interesting of an American company that's come in and bought this very proud, loyal organization. Taking a lot of the revenue and profits out of the country may not be a good thing for that country. I don't know. But they bought them. There's been a few Microsoft executives on the Nokia team for the last couple of years, so this is really no surprise. Nokia just dropped their Symbian operating system not too long ago to replace it with the Windows mobile operating system. That was a big deal. That was proprietary. That was one of the things that made Nokia Nokia and very, very strong. So what does this mean for local and what's going to happen? Well, Microsoft is into the hardware game now. No different than Google purchasing Motorola and, of course, Apple that owns their own hardware. There was a point in time that sloppy software was created and hardware was created all over the place. And remember the days that you would buy a new piece to slap into your PC, and this driver didn't work with that machine, and then you'd get your printer at home or your scanner and plug that in, and you had to load drop drivers for this and get updated drivers for that. And the whole Windows ecosystem is just very, very sloppy, and that's really changed a lot on the mobile aspect. And of course, with the market share growth of Apple and laptops and mobile being tablets and smartphones. This acquisition is really, because Microsoft's business has changed, they've had to get into the hardware game. They really have got to control and have control of an environment. So when they say, okay, we're creating a piece of software and we want it to act like this, we want it to feel this way, they need the hardware to be able to accommodate that flawlessly. And that's always been some problems with Windows on desktops, and it's really changed and become much more important for consumers in different ways. And so, they paid $7.2 billion or something like that for this organization, and it's with Nokia's declining market share and Microsoft's declining market share, it just might be two companies that are not going to be able to do it, or not. This is going to give them a 5-year window, an opportunity. They're also involved in the mapping world, and so in the local ecosystem, you've got 23 million businesses in the United States that spend an average of about $1,500 to $2,000 a month on marketing. Well, that's a big pie, and that's the pie that these guys are trying to tap into. And the easier that they make it for businesses and consumers, the more of that revenue that they're going to get. PageRank. Anybody know what PageRank is? PageRank is actually derived after one of the founders, Larry Page. PageRank is the foundation of Google. It's why Google exists. It's why Google exists even before Google was a company, a real legitimate organization. Just a little bit of history here. If you're not aware of Google's history, it's a pretty neat story because a couple of guys come together. I'll shorten it quite a bit, for a thesis, and they decide that they want to organize information, that there's some problems, and so a search engine is something that's created. But one of the gentlemen, Larry Page, his father is a scientist, and when he realized that when his father would create a paper, a document, a piece of content, and that document got cited, it got discussed about in other publications, his authority as a scientist went up. When that one citation got cited by more authoritative citation, his authority went up. And he realized that that was the same model that he could apply to the internet. Well, this is kind of terminology that we've heard about, citations and references and authority. And, if CNN talked about him or Mary Jane down the street, both of those carry a different weight. So the internet is really no different. He recognized this, that pages are votes. And each vote had a different weight to it. And so pages ultimately had weights built into them, and they were measured in what was called PageRank. The algorithm determined a PageRank for every specific page, a web page that's out there. It's not so relevant for local businesses because we don't rank websites, we rank profiles or businesses. But PageRank has really changed a lot. It's a very mathematical environment. Facebook is really starting to threaten Google a lot with their social graph that was launched in 2009. Hence the big major transformation and push for a social component of Google, and the result has been Google+. It's been a company-wide transformation. Bottom line is employees' bonuses are paid on how social the company becomes. PageRank has no social aspects to it. It's not a democratic environment. PageRank. We can control a lot of things. We know this as SEOers, and so social is something that's much more difficult to replicate. It's much more difficult to create artificially. And at the end of the day, when we talk about relationships, that's what these algorithms are measuring on a social sense is relationships between businesses and people and how things all work out. So PageRank is becoming less and less important. And the question becomes, it's no longer in the Google Toolbar. Is it dead? Is it less relevant? It's not dead, guys. And you've got to recognize that this algorithm that Larry Page founded in 1996 with Sergey Brin, it was based off of the real world in the first place. They're just getting their search engine finally to a place that they've probably wanted to be forever. It's measuring real human interaction. And that is what's going to translate business success on the internet. In other words, the better the business you are, the better you're going to do on the internet. Well, that's going to come to the conclusion of this week's update. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes, or a couple of seconds here, and I'll be right back, and I'll come discuss this week's local internet marketing agency tip. And that's overcoming your objections to customer review management services, if that's a service that you would want to sell and upsell. So we're talking about customer review management service here. With your local SEO service, your local search marketing service, I definitely recommend that you implement a review acquisition system for your clients. It's going to help for a lot of different reasons, from conversion through ranking. So make sure that you understand all the content for that and what's important for that. Now I'm talking about a service that you're going to charge an extra $300 or $400 a month for. It's going to be an option. As we know, services are based off of perception, so we definitely want to increase the perceived value that the customer is going to get for $300 or $400. We call it a yes situation, and really, you know, if they're going to be spending $1,500 a month for you, what's an extra 400? Keeping it under $2,000. You know, that's not a major increase. But what they can get from that is a lot of manual labor. In other words, monitoring all the reviews that are out there. There are some systems that monitor a variety of different systems, but you still got to do some manual work in that regard. And then preparing a report and giving that report to the customer, communicating with the customer within 24 hours, for example, if they get a negative review, and how that negative review is going to be handled and how you're going to handle it. So this service, you're increasing the value that you're going to be giving your customer. They're not too sure of whether or not that they want to be able to get this. And as I was talking about with the 8 different questions, you give them those questions, and give them those questions with answers, and have your company brand on it and your contact information, and have it as a marketing piece. It's going to go a long way. They're already going to be building a relationship with you. This is going to entitle you to get deeper into their business and their customers. So overcoming those objections, you know, how are you going to help me with negative reviews? Well, you tell them exactly with what you're going to do. Maybe even having a video supporting that, showing some screenshots of how you're going to handle negative reviews. How are you going to offer to capture reviews? Well, you know, regular meetings, staff meetings, training the staff to have a lending ear, perhaps looking at a you know, a POS type of system, putting it in-house. You know, you can have contests internally as to who's going to get more reviews, or if someone gets 5 reviews, you know, they get a $100 bonus type of thing. So having this documentation is just another marketing piece, but I assure you that it's good upsell. So on that note, guys, I'm going to open the floor. I don't see that I got anybody with their hands up. Again, I got a couple of questions here that looks like are being typed in, so let's take a look. Just as any newcomers that are coming in, as a reminder, I like to handle live questions first, people that have their hands up, and then go to typewritten questions. But we have a question here: what tool do I use to find all the reviews in one place, if any? Well, this is one of the situations, one of the tools that has really just given me more gray hairs over the years. Really been looking for it for quite some time. There's a couple of different tools. You know, getlisted.org does an okay job. That's getlisted.org. It's okay. It doesn't capture everything, but Bright Local is what we utilize. Again, it's a little bit more of a better system, but it's a paid system. You can also generate reports from Bright Local. Got a question coming here from somebody that just typed in. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Ed, for that question. I see you got another question here, Ed. And how do you remove negative information on Google? Well, we're talking about reputation management here. And there's content. There's actually a webinar that I did maybe 6 or 7 or 8 months ago on online reputation management. Ed, that's a question that you should watch. Not a question, a webinar. It's about an hour long. I talk about 5 different steps when a business gets negative reviews. I'm going to try to get them off the top of my head without doing a quick search and pulling them up. But the first attempt, obviously, is, you know, business has got to be good businesses, and the business owner should try to get that review removed by speaking with the customer directly over the telephone. That's your best, your best resource. Number 2 is having positive content and continuing to publish positive content. So there's a whole strategy around that and pushing bad reviews down. Number 3, there's the aspects of trust and authority for the particular reviews. It's identifying one of the strategies that we do with customer review acquisitions, and this again, when you upsell your review service, this is something that you could choose to include into it, that you're going to spend time with the customer and identify their top customers. We're going to take those customers and turn them into heroes. Those heroes are ones that are already online, and we're going to have these heroes of ours online. So number 3 would be identifying the heroes. Number 4, you can respond to negative reviews. You've only got one shot at responding. Be careful about responding. Number 5, you can ask to have things removed, but that's the most difficult route. It's very, very difficult to get things removed as well. So I hope that helps, Mr. Ed. Mr. Nick, question coming, and it looks like I've got the question here. Okay, he says, when using Google New Zealand for a search for KinderCare, the info box on the right relates to a huge US company. Where does that box pull its data from? You're talking about paid ads, I hope, or I believe. And you're talking about paid ads in the Google SERP, correct? No. Let me see if I can reproduce this then. Google New Zealand. Hey, that's a cool logo you guys have up today. John Wisden, 187th birthday. Whoever that dude is. I see Ed's got his hand up too. We'll get him on the line in a second here. KinderCare. Oh. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about here. Alright, well, that's coming up because of the changes, the recent changes in I think it was the Panda update in regards to branding. We've seen some major changes in Google across the board for brand names. KinderCare, Google thinks that KinderCare is a brand, a very popular brand. Google thinks that somebody could possibly be in New Zealand searching for the KinderCare brand. And so that's why Google is showing that that piece of information. It's kind of like a little bit of a wiki. Google is a destination spot, and so Google is trying to identify if that's a brand search. The number 2 result you can see is got KinderCare right in the URL. Looks like a KinderCare company in Auckland, Christchurch, Wellington, Hamilton. That's not going to last. That's going to change. Google's obviously making a mistake here. KinderCare in New Zealand has got to build its authority as a brand, and that's what's happening right here. Again, creating content and having it exposed. I don't know if this is something that you're working with or a job, but to build a brand would help with doing different press release and looking at doing a full press release campaign, along with getting some other public relations with local publications in all of the different areas. All right. Well, I could see Ed has got his hand down now. I mean, he doesn't want to talk. He wants to type. That's okay. But I'm good. It's good to hear that you're all right. I get on the horn with some of our students and just go for a long time. Another question here: how do we promote our clients so New Zealand searches see our KinderCare? Well, I guess I'd begun to start answering that a little bit by increasing the authority of the KinderCare brand. This is also it is actually. it's pulling directly from Wikipedia. I mentioned that this was kind of like the Google Wiki, right? Well, they're actually pulling from Wikipedia. I've got content in the portal that talks about Wikipedia as a strategy to get links and to get exposure and citations. Go and watch that content. It's in the link building content. Essentially, this company, less than 1% of companies truly qualify to be eligible to get into Wikipedia, but it doesn't mean that you can't get them in. Basically, the hardest thing to get a company into Wikipedia is that they're looking for media coverage. If that company's got some media coverage in the past, they're eligible. I would suspect that KinderCare, with all these locations, they've got a variety of different media exposure as well. Let's see what Wikipedia's got. For KinderCare. Yeah, it goes right to KinderCare Learning Center, so there's no other KinderCare entries in Wikipedia. Yeah. So that would be a way. So yeah, that would definitely be a way to. I don't know. I think that was 3 or 4 different things that I had mentioned to you that you could utilize to help increase brand authority for KinderCare in New Zealand. Okay. Well, those are awesome questions this week, guys. I like the questions. I hope I was been able to help you out with those questions today. But I look forward to everyone next week, and everyone have a great week. Thank you. Bye for now.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.